Hi.
Hello. Hi, Pastor. Actually, I don't think I've ever met you. Hi, my name is Sandeep. I'm from Hasura. Yeah. I think you're still on mute. I disappeared trying to say something.
Hi, Sandeep. Sorry.
No
Yeah,
worries.
we even after the pandemic, sometimes it just doesn't work.
I was just wondering, 4 years of it, and yeah, we're still struggling to
Yeah,
unmute ourselves. So that is what it's come to.
exactly.
But nice to
Okay.
meet you.
Yeah, same. Nice to
Sorry.
meet you. I still have to add myself to the list. Michael has just updated his
Oh, good.
notebook. Actually,
But
reinstalled
maybe
his MacBook. So that's probably the reason why it took a bit longer.
I have to restart.
Yeah.
1 second. First time Zoom, I'm back in a second.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Shane.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, no, I also had to run the I also attended the governing board meeting. So that's why I'm a bit late. Let me check the agenda. Okay, I see 3 people on the agenda. Pascal and Sandeep, if you could add yourself to the agenda as well, just so we have attendance.
Yeah,
reported.
open a pull request. Just not merge yet.
Okay. Let's give it 1 more minute if somebody else wants to come. So Martin will not be here, but I anyway discussed with them most of the stuff already. Okay, let's start. Okay, let me remind you that by being here, we all agree to the GraphQL participation guidelines. and to the graphical code of conduct. And let's start by introducing ourselves all. I'm Michael Stipe.
Hey, I'm Shane Myrick from Apollo.
Hi, I'm Camille from the Guild.
Hi, I'm Pascal from Cherry Cream.
I am Sandeep from Hasura.
Awesome. So we are actually at the moment working on a big piece for the composite schema back, and I want to take this meeting actually to review it a bit. Let me show you what we started to explore, and I actually have worked on prototyping this a bit, and like through there. And I discussed that a lot with Martin and Camille already in an async fashion in between the meetings that we had. So here on the composite schema spec repository, we have this issue of finding the right batch mechanism. So the problem we want to solve, we have these new directives, right? Quickly go there, and we have these require directives, for instance, and we're thinking about more of these style of directives, which you can put on inputs and arguments. By doing that, basically the query planner will pre-fill these things and inject them, and these things are actually hidden from the public API, right? But to do this kind of requirement effectively, we need a better batching mechanism that's also transparent to the schema, so there will be no entities field or something like that. What this also enables us is really to, like, once we solve this this puzzle about batching, we will be essentially be able to integrate any subgraph. The subgraph requirements are much less stringent that you have, and it's much easier to integrate services. So we started this issue here, and that goes a bit into the batching mechanisms, and explains a bit the batching mechanisms that we have in the graphical ecosystem. This one is a proposal we found, like Martin found it, I think, on the spec issues, and I discovered it in the wild. And we thought actually we start defining this kind of batching mechanism. But what it turns out in discussion is actually this also is very well combinable with the request batching. So what we do at the moment is describing for the graphical HTTP specification a companion spec that describes how batching works in graphical over HTTP. So we make that like its own standard for the graphical HTTP spec, and that means like we can rely on some kind of transport specification here. So the good thing with combining these is that you kind of, like, we have this request batching, which is widely used, and then you can fold into it the variable batching. Like, this is super good, not only for what we have in graphical composite specification as a problem, but also for clients. You could even use that. Like, in the beginning, we thought it's just for queries, but we explored that further, and we actually can allow that with things like streams. Like, you could, for instance, have here a deferred query in, there a deferred query, and the third one could be a subscription. And at the moment, we are finding, like, how should the response shape look like? Let me actually so we have a Slack group, by the way, I think Sandip, is it Sandip or how do I pronounce it?
Sandeep is good. Yeah.
Okay. If you want to join there, it's like we have this group. Hazura is also connected to this Slack, so we can add
Nice.
you if you post me your
Email ID.
Hazura. Yeah, no, from Hazura the Slack
Okay.
name.
I'll ping you on Hasura Slack.
Yeah, and then we just add you, or Yuri from the guild. If you ping him to be added, then he will also just add you. Okay. So in here you can see 103 replies. So it's a lively discussion on this thing. And Shane, you should also be in this group, right? We added you.
Yep, I read
If
up on
not-
the thread earlier.
Okay. Yeah, but because let me quickly. So this is a format discussion. But let me find quickly there. I'm at the moment writing the spec document for this, but like we were widening a bit the scope of this, and then saying, okay, there is at the moment in the GraphQL over HTTP spec actually no batching. We just have single requests. There are a couple of standards for subscriptions, like there's the Apollo multipart request protocol. There is from the guild the GraphQL over SSE protocol. There is like the different stream kind of mechanism, but they work like over SSE. I saw it. It works over multipart, but it's also not specified. So we are now looking at this from the angle to specify the streaming transport and also make it like work well over things like HTTP2. So we have three options at the moment open. One is JSON-L, and at the moment, like this looks really promising. Like it looks much better than SSE and looks better than this multipart stuff that we did so far. And it basically is putting down one JSON document per line. And this is super small. And it also removes all the stuff that we actually don't need for the protocol and works very well with GraphQL over HTTP. Like, because the only thing that we changed, basically, we have two transports then, or two content type, response content types. One is this GraphQL response plus JSON. That is what we already specified. And then if it's a plus JSON-L, it's basically a stream. And then you have like all the cases formulated like for different stream, for subscriptions, for batching, all would work the same. Yeah, Benji also did a small demo implementation of that. We also have it in a hot chocolate prototype, so I hope end of the week we have like tooling to try that really out on the first prototype, and that we have like this month the first spec proposal into the GraphQL HTTP spec working group. The other alternative, this I also implemented in the prototype, is the HTTP multipart encoding. That is basically kind of the Apollo specification here. And this, I think, takes some ideas from the ideas that were done for the different stream stuff. But it's also like here these keep alive messages and things like that. Last, we have the GraphQL over SSE stuff that the guild built would also be a possibility to do that. Like I was discussing that also with Martin a bit, like at the concerns that were around SSE. But that are basically the three proposals that we have. And the way this works actually with these combined things is, I don't know if you have it here, is that we have on the payload, we introduce two new top level fields, response index and variable index. So response index is if it's, request index is if it's from the request batching, and variable index is when it's from a variable batching. That means you can also like parallelize it if your server can do multi-threading or things like that, and then just send the last response for the first response and things like that, and the client could then line it back together. Other questions? Or
I
remarks?
guess I don't have any questions, other than, probably I can ask Ben, who's done a lot of the work, around the Apollo stuff, to probably chime in here, because frankly, this is a little out of my wheelhouse too. He did a lot of the events, or a lot of the work around, helping us design the multi-part stuff. And so I think maybe just for this part of the response, I'd love to hear his feedback from, maybe like, why we chose, what at the time we were looking at subscriptions. I was trying to quickly look at the history we have internally at Apollo, but I think that's really relevant now here. So just calling out, I guess it's a little beyond my knowledge what the trade-offs were and why we chose multi-part, and some of the downsides we saw from others at the time and why we went that way. But I think that would be helpful to have him
Yeah.
or Martin chime in here too for that.
Yeah, I think what Martin told me is, in general, he is okay with JSON-L. Quickly. Yeah, but the main question point there is that like Apollo now has done a lot of work to get the multi-part stuff in. I think that was mainly the feedback, and I think that's the main objection that is done toward multi-part. But like on this angle, we also have GraphQL SSE, like some of the community is using for that the SSE stuff, and the defer part, the defer specification, for instance, is not finished. There's a lot of changes coming to defer, like when we look at the different stream user group, working group, and so there's no standard at the moment, and there is like there's two major response formats that we have out there, SSE and multipart. So like I personally don't
SSE has one
yeah.
SSE has one benefit, right? It finally
What is it?
made it into the Chrome DevTools. I think it launched this week. That's one benefit.
Yes, but it also has noise.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's the most efficient protocol. The same goes with all the multi-part streaming things, right?
Yeah.
This JSON-L is different because it's really slim.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I have to say I have no idea how stream compression works. So I don't know how this is going to be affected by it.
Yep. So
yeah,
there's
Shane posted the RFC. Yes.
I was just saying, in the RFCs for GraphQL over HTTP, we have basically all the ones as well as documents. So maybe it could be good to, if we're going to push JSON-L as a possible proposal, these are still just RFCs. Maybe we also add this one here. So then we can also continue the discussion there too, because that mechanism is going to be, we're talking about pushing this into that spec so that then we can support it in our possibly if we, okay.
Yeah, basically, so what we are, so I'm working on the spec proposal for the GraphQL over HTTP spec, and it will be like persisted operations, a companion spec, and it would basically remove this one, and we would remove this one, and remove this one.
Yeah,
because we can basically it's too
Complete
partial.
them.
Like it's I think overall it would be better if we don't have to, like, first off, it's much cleaner. Like we have this GraphQL dash response plus JSON and plus JSON-L would become much cleaner because we don't have that here, right? So we have clean GraphQL responses and explained how they work. And the second is we don't have to support SSE and WebSockets, and then maybe another variation of WebSockets that Apollo now uses for their subscription stuff. We have just one thing that works actually for all the things. But like this is not decided, right? This is just a discussion point at the moment. And I'm working on this specification text, and like I hope that we get the proposal done this month, and then can try it out.
One thing maybe to collect internally a bit, because that's one feedback that we have seen to occur a few times now in the past with SSE, is that proxies sometimes are not so fun to work with, because it could be that they just keep hold back the they buffer obviously, but it's not only proxy buffering. It seems to be also compression sometimes, and HTTP1 chunking and whatever. So it would be good when we have the spec proposal that we also consider this, because text event stream and multipart are things which are known to proxies. So for example, that they might already opt out when they have these protocols, whereas they do not know the other protocols, right?
You mean JSON-L?
Yes, I mean, this would just be what's the content type of it when you do JSON-L? It would be GraphQL application GraphQL plus JSON-L, right?
But
like
the main idea behind the GraphQL response header is that you as a GraphQL client know that it follows this spec. With all the other headers, you always have to inspect if that is really a GraphQL.
I'm not against it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that when we as we now have consolidated knowledge of SSC from us and the guild, multipart streaming from Apollo, and maybe this delivery, this incremental delivery stuff that we already have implemented that people use. If we already have this knowledge, then maybe we can bring together what people usually have issues with, because I can confirm in multiple occasions that people have struggled with SSE over proxies. For us, for example, it works without the problem. But
the same is for like these people have the same problems with a different stream. It's also we have the same issues there.
I mean, we have not identified everything 100%, right? We have identified a few issues which can be solved with no buffering, caching headers.
There's a general problem with proxies like Azure Front Door that have a larger buffer, and you have that also with different stream. So there's no matter what you use, these HTTP2 streams, like the chunking or buffer size depends on the proxy.
Yeah, it's just surprising that SSC would fall into these. You know, with the multipart request, I would kind of understand. with SSE, I'm really surprised that the proxy even thinks about buffering it, because it's a really clear sign that you want to have the event on the client. It's like if you have a text event stream and you buffer it, it's always a mistake.
Yes, but that is not a concern. We should note these problems in general, but
Yeah,
they
I just want to collect the experience of the people.
They affect all the
Because
formats.
we've had it on we have people which have issue on Azure Front Door. That's correct. We also have people which have issue on Kubernetes Ingress with it, and we also have people which do not have any issues at all on Kubernetes Ingress. So,
Shane, do you guys have people struggling with the stream formats of HTTP?
Funny enough, you just mentioned that. We just had to add this tech note to our docs because we had multiple different companies using, or different cloud vendors have issues, and we ended up fixing it, but it wasn't something like enabled out of the box in some of these cloud vendors. And so we kind of documented some of those things for Google, MuleSoft, Con, and AWS. So to enable subscriptions and HTTP multi-part responses, we had to tell our customers to go turn these on for their gateway configs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we are talking about too, right? We have also resolved a few other issues. Maybe I can let you know, so you can add it there as well. Yeah, one issue that I see with this is that, for example, in the Azure API management, when you say forward request HTTP 201 buffer response false, you probably disable buffering for everything, right?
I'm not sure. I wasn't working on this issue. This was separate from the team, but I can ask what else. I can ask him.
I mean, we just, when you have a discussion about it somewhere in an issue, with what we should have to, on the repository, once the pull request is open with the RFC, then we can talk about this too, because I think that we can solve these issues. We just have to see what are the best options. Right?
Yeah, but I think it's a good call out that all the gateways today for these cloud vendors might not have these support out of the box. So testing them with testing JSON-L, testing SSE with these different, or at least one or two of them or something might just help us validate some things there.
Yeah, that's why we are working on a prototype, so everybody can a bit play around with it, deploy it somewhere to see how it works out. It's also like maybe your client people also want to have a look at it, like how this works out. And then we need to make a decision.
It would definitely be nice to finally have one protocol that everyone supports, and which is not necessarily based on WebSockets. Like if you have an HTTP protocol, that would be really nice.
Yeah, for
because
batching,
I think that we can solve the I mean, that's true for batching anyway, but also for subscription. I believe that we can solve the HTTP stuff quicker in GraphQL than they can solve the WebSocket stuff in D39.
Yeah, that's how's Hasura dealing at the moment with these? Are you guys implementing one of these streaming protocols, SSE or the multi-part subscription protocol that Apollo does?
I don't think so. I'm just checking with the team. I'll be happy to report back as soon as I hear from the team.
Yeah, because it would also be nice to see what protocol has what impact at the moment in the market. If you don't have any, like for you, it's then anything is good. Like I know the Guild and Chili Cream, we are using heavily SSE. And
quite
Apollo
successfully,
is
to be honest. I'm really happy with with how SSE performs and works.
Yeah,
It's
and then
it's
there
either
is-
working it's either working for you really well or it doesn't work at all.
And I know Apollo has, like, since when do you have the subscription protocol, the multipart? Is it new or is it
No, that's been since last year.
since last year? Okay.
Yeah.
And that counts as
Okay. Yeah. In IT, it's old.
Yeah, I mean, we already
s-
talking about successors, so
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah,
I mean,
I will
if you
also ask a couple of others.
if we have if we, I guess the most important thing is that when we agree, when we find the best common denominator in the best protocol, and we define something, the most important thing is that we have the same rich documentation as, for example, we have now for SSE and the HTTP spec, where you can basically see how you can configure it with your client, with Apollo client, with Relay, with URL, with whatever. So that when we say that we are going to support this protocol and we have this phase where we have to support multiple protocols, that people can easily switch, right? Because I don't see why we should have 3 different HTTP protocols working at the same time as maintainer of a server. If we have one that works, we should just use this.
Yeah, so it's a bit larger than just composite schema now the topic, but I think from our perspective, we should be able to rely on one protocol in the subgraphs. If we need to probe them, it becomes kind of messy, right? And then the gateways will have like compatibility problems. And I want to
Yeah, I mean, also from it also doesn't make much sense to have it downstream to the client, because it doesn't matter if you use SSE, if you use multipart, the multipart protocol that you specified, or the JSON-L or whatever. If you have one HTTP1, HTTP2 capable protocol, you probably should only have to support one as a server anyway, if you have good recipes, because then the client is the critical bit. Yeah, actually, that's an issue. I see. If you have all client versions, then you need to support both in the transition phase. A mobile client, for example, which is deployed in an old version, then you have to support both on the server side. Otherwise, you cannot phase.
Awesome. Are there other comments, topics?
Yeah, I just wanted to I had something on the agenda. Jeff has posted a discussion in the working group working group repo discussion there. We're looking at getting a post out on graphql.org just about this community. So just want to call out, if anyone hasn't seen that discussion pinned yet, or if you don't have notifications turned on for the working group, I would suggest maybe doing that too. Turn on the GitHub notifications, but also you can go to the discussion, which is I posted in the agenda, and it's a very short blog post, but just something we want to get out behind graphql.org and out to the public.
Yeah, we discussed that in the governing board meeting. So it's like the first blog post that's going out is not this one, it's a second. But like Yuri is okay with it. We are okay with it. And I can pass it along to Hazura just because they also mentioned, but I know they will also be okay with it. But I will ping them so they review it as well. But I think it's good. It's good. I have a follow-up for this, which is more technical. But first, we need to get out this one. Like we all are working together on a specification, and then we can dispatching is actually a good. Once we solved it, and once we have like an agreement between everyone, this will be also a good follow-up blog post on this. Like,
Yep.
this is one of the first outcomes, and it even benefits clients and things like that. Yeah. Yeah, you posted this composite schema. Did you post it there? Or draft? Yeah, very good. Okay, then can that's good, because he posted it on the Slack group, so I already read it, but it's good to have it there. Then Sandip, you can also look at the last link and check if your company is also okay with it like that. But
Yeah, that's it. So that's all I want to add.
Kamil, anything from your side?
Oh, not really.
You're good? Okay, like this mania review, I didn't want to start anything new because Martin is also not there, and I'd like to have him here when we discuss further stuff along the line.
So do we want to actually then, because I know we have that Slack thread, and I think that was great to do a quick discussion. We definitely want to
Yes.
try to shift everything through the public GitHub as much as possible. We have the
Yes.
discussion on the batching, like
Yes.
payload, but do we also want to start a separate thread on the batching HTTP protocol? Is that two separate discussions? I think we should probably split up.
Yes, we do. So the idea is at the moment, and that's on my to-do, is I'm drafting it, what we discussed, and then we put that all as a draft on the working group spec.
Okay.
I would say on the HTTP working group spec. I think it like, as long as we agree in the HTTP working group that the overall mechanism, not the response format, is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are unblocked, because if the general mechanisms for batching is agreed on, then we can leave the format discussions to the spec working group. We can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be finalized before we can release our spec. But I think we wouldn't be blocked by any format discussion, so I wouldn't see that as a problem. Can be a separate discussion and should be a discussion of the GraphQL over HTTP working group, I think.
Yep.
For us, we just need to know, okay, we can batch like this, and then at some point, once these discussions settled, we know, okay, we can batch like in this format.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah, who's usually part of the GraphQL over HTTP spec?
So Benji, me, then there is
Dennis,
1 second.
obviously.
Dennis, and there is one from Apollo that did a lot there. Let me just check. Tell you in a minute. Mariah's.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Mariah is also in there.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
a couple of people there.
Okay, good.
So there are a couple of people, and some that are on this working group as well.
Be
So
nice if we can integrate it in. That would be nice, and we can spec in Meros. Then we have an end-to-end integration for clients as well.
Quickly, yeah, Glasser from Apollo, David Glasser.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's
So, but we already are in close contact about this proposal with three of the 5 usual suspects in the working group, which is good, because that gives us a bit of security that it's not going to be too difficult to get this in. We also have a lot of feedback already from Benji, and that's good.
Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, we put it up as a proposal, and then I work through it a bit with Benji, And then we leave it a bit for a proposal and discussions there, but we will then continue and say, okay, we assume there's this kind of batching, and then we can work on the more interesting stuff. And that is really refining the directives and then start on the composition. And I hope that we have by summer a rough idea about things, and also a lot more spec text. Good.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, then see you next week.
Yep.
And bye.
All right. See you around. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.